Hello and welcome to this spring sports wrap-up edition of WMCT Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Matt Bisaccia. Over the last 3 months, our local high school teams have been competing with schools from all across the state, all looking to make a deep run into their respective playoff tournaments. First, we'll start with the AMSA Eagles. Their boys and girls lacrosse teams have had very successful seasons. The boys, led by Evan Hardy and Nathan Lee, were able to clinch a share of the Colonial League title and earned a spot in the Central West D3 playoffs. Let's take a look back at one of their wins from earlier this season.
2-2 AMSA squared off against 6-0 Blackstone Valley Tech Wednesday afternoon at 4 kicks, and the Eagles got off to a great start in the first. 8th grader Thomas Hirsch gets a head of steam and rips it past the keeper to put the Eagles up 1. Just a couple of minutes later, it's Brendan Poirier who makes the move to get an angle and pours it in. And that, folks, will conclude the fun portion of this highlight. Moving along, where this time Hirsch loses control, but it bounces right to Caden Grinnell, who with a flick of the wrist, beats the goalie top shelf to put the home team up 3. And to cap off the impressive first, Nathan Lee scores through the contact to give AMSA a 4-0 lead. In the second, BVT would start to crawl back in it, as number 19 keeps the stick high and the shot low, chipping the Eagle lead to 3. Then, number 20 beats a couple of defenders and scores to cut the first quarter lead in half at 4-2. AMSA would call timeout, and it paid dividends immediately. Nathan Lee makes the move to his right, then spins left, and finds the back of the net while falling to the ground to put the Eagles back up 3. But before the end of the half, number 19 scores his second of the game to trim the lead back to 2, going into intermission. The Beavers would control the third like they had the second. This time number 17 gets into the act, and going into the fourth, the road team trailed by just 1. However, that's when AMSA would reassert themselves and take control. Lee rifles this one at the keeper, his third of the game. Then, later in the fourth, Lee finds Hirsch for his third of the game, Lee's third assist, and it put the Eagles back up 2. And to close it out, Hirsch does it all himself. His 4th goal of the game, and the Eagles pull off the upset over BVT, giving the Beavers their first loss in league play this season.
Although they weren't able to get past Grafton in the first round, they certainly have a lot to look forward to with all the underclassmen they have coming back. The Lady Eagles lacrosse team took the Colonial League by storm in their first season as a program. Led by Erin Gawaski's league-leading 45 points and 40 goals, they finished the year with a 7-1 league record while also making it to the Central West D2 playoffs. Before the playoffs, I was able to sit down with their coach, Rich Fulvey. Here's a clip from that interview.
You know, you guys have lost a few out of the last, like 3 out of the last 4 or 3 out of the last 5. You guys are finishing up the season tomorrow against Neshoba Valley Tech. What do you say to your players going to the last game of the year, right before the beginning of the playoffs? Does the message change, you know, considering how things have kind of happened, or considering how things have gone over the last couple of weeks, or does the message remain the same?
I'm as consistent as I can be with the message. The message has always been, we will not win the wrong way. We will focus on trying to win the right way. I never expected this year one. You know, I walked in, I met these kids, and I really liked them immediately. But it's not about, you know, it's not even about tomorrow. It's not about this playoff. It's about their future. My goal here is, these kids are so brilliant that my goal here is to, if they end up wanting to play in college, I'm going to make darn sure that they can.
Now let's check out one of their more exciting games this year as they took on BVT.
Monday afternoon, the Lady Eagles took on the Beavers of Blackstone Valley Tech. BVT came out aggressive in the early going, as Emily Whitaker scores just 27 seconds in. Shortly after, Chloe Pigeon gets into the act as she streaks down the middle and fires one past Waters. And Whitaker again cuts through the AMSA D and scores easily to make it 4-1. She would finish with a team-high 4 goals. For the rest of the first half, Eagle goaltender Paige Waters was a wall. Her saves helped to keep AMSA within striking distance for a stretch while the Eagles' offense struggled to find the net. Here, she shuts down the wide-open look, and again she blocks the long attempt from the attacker. Before the end of the half, AMSA would get goals from Alyssa Craig as she blows by her defender and bounces one home. And then, Emma Donahue used the open lane to beat the keeper low to tie the game at 4 going into the break. The first few minutes of the second half belonged to AMSA. They won on a 4-1 run that included 3 straight goals from number 8, Erin Gawashi. She shows she can score close, she can score from the outside, and she can break down the defender if need be as she rips it past the goalie. Beavers would talk things over and keep the pressure on the Eagles. BVT's Margaret Gurney would catch the entry pass and converts on the short shot, and then Brenikovsky scores on her wide-open look to notch this one up late at 11. After a BVT turnover with only seconds left on the clock, Elinoff drives down the field and scores with just 7 seconds remaining to give the Eagles the victory. They're now 2-1 in Colonial League play and 2-3 overall.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at the Aztecs from Assabet Valley, and later in the show, we'll show you the top highlights from lacrosse teams from Marlboro High. Stick around.
It was really important for me to get outside and play because I felt like I needed a break from the classroom. I loved going to school, but at the same time, I wanted to be active.
Going to PE class was a different type of learning. You know, it was body learning.
I think it's important for kids today and kids any generation to be active.
We all have the right to move, and we all can move.
So important to get kids moving. We know that when they do get moving, they do better in school, they do better all around.
Anything you can do to help yourself be better in the future is something you want to do, and I think that's something that's helped me get to where I'm at today.
I learned a lot about myself being active.
It led me to find my passion at a young age.
I believe it keeps your mind going, it keeps you upbeat.
Make sure your school is a Let's Move school.
Quiet, please. Wait a sec. I'll take one. Oh yeah. All right. All good. Take care. Way to go. Nice. Bring it on. Gotcha. I'm here for you. Oh no. Please, please, please. I'm waiting. Interesting. Not buying it. Not fair. That's it. This conversation is over. Oh, brother.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things.
I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke.
Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time. Time to call 911 immediately. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Learn the body language, the sudden signs, and spot a stroke fast.
Okay, here we go. Everybody needs somebody.
A friend. Somebody who knows. What makes you laugh?
How you feel about football?
Movies.
Singing.
Life. Somebody who always has your back. A real friend.
A best buddy.
But sometimes it can be hard for people
with intellectual and developmental disabilities
to make friends.
That's why we started Best Buddies.
A network of more than 70,000 friends
across America
and around the world.
Best Buddies matches people like me.
Like me.
Like me. With people like me.
Like me.
Like me.
To create one-on-one friendships that foster understanding,
break down barriers,
and help us see how.
Beautiful.
Smart.
Funny.
And amazing.
We all are.
And we can use your help.
Go to bestbuddies.org and see how you can get involved.
Because everybody needs a best buddy.
Including me.
Me.
Me. You.
Welcome back to Sports Weekly. Assabet Valley's softball and baseball teams both fielded squads that were able to qualify for the playoffs. The baseball team ended up with a 14-8 record, led by the hitting and pitching of sophomore Tyler Dossis. In early May, we caught up with their manager, John Silk. Here's a portion of our chat.
Last year, you guys went 13-10 overall. You made a late surge, or a surge late in the season to clinch a playoff spot. You take out Worcester Tech. It's a big upset for you guys. Looking back on last year, is that a successful season for you?
I think the way the season ended was super successful for us. Last year was probably one of my most talented teams. We just didn't gel until the end of the season. Something just clicked for us, and we started playing the right baseball at the right time. I don't know if the seniors just figured out, hey, you know what, this is our last chance at this thing. And we played awesome baseball from, game 12 to game 20. And we made a late season surge. The Worcester Tech was an upset for most. I felt like we could beat them. I felt like we had the right game plan and we had the right talent, and we did. We played great. And we only lost to Blackstone Valley Tech 1-0. And they were a phenomenal team, and they're an excellent team this year. So last year was overall was successful. It was a disappointing regular season, but it was a successful overall season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What will you have to change this year, though,
with regards to managing to make it a successful year, or a more successful year?
Philosophically, I have to change some things offensively. We're going to have to play very aggressive baseball, hitting and running with 2 strikes. Suicide squeeze, try to get 2 runs in. We just don't have the offensive firepower that we've had in years past. We just don't have it. We have really good defense, strong defense. We're really young. I'm going to be starting 3 freshmen and 3 sophomores. My 2 best players are sophomores. So there's going to be some learning curve along the way. And offensively, we're going to have to generate offense, and that's going to be the biggest challenge for sure.
Now let's look back at one of their best games of the year as they faced off against Bay Path.
The Aztecs faced off against the Minutemen from Bay Path Thursday afternoon, and the fans were treated to a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel. We'll fast forward to a scoreless game in the 4th, with a runner on when DeSimone grounds one to Tyler Dossis, who can't get the grip, setting up 1st and 2nd with only 1 down. The next batter grounds a hot shot to Wagner at 3rd, who steps on the bag and fires it to 1st with a double play. In the 5th, Bay Path gets going with a single to center. It was the first hit for either side to this point in the game, with just 1 out in the inning. A batter later, Brian pops one over to Dossis, who makes the catch, but then tries to make a play that just isn't there. It skips past Hunter at 1st, and the runner moves up to 2nd. But the Aztec D stepped up again as Dossis keeps his focus, throws across his body, and gets the runner at 1st to end the threat in the 5th. In the 6th, AV has to battle through another tough inning. First, Wagner can't find the mark with this throw. It gets away from Hunter, skipping all the way to the fence, and Shoemaker makes his way to 2nd. Later, it's Casasanto that can't come up with the pitch, advancing his Shoemaker to 3rd, and Bay Path was positioned to take the lead. Coach Silk comes out for a mound visit to talk things over, and after 2 walks to load the bases, AJ Vorse induces the grounder to 2nd that would get the Aztecs out of trouble. Now in the bottom of the 7th, Brandon Corpy comes up and delivers the first base hit of the day for Aspet. It would go to waste, however, and this one, folks, would go to extras. Let's skip ahead to the top of the 9th, still scoreless. Bay Path, the runner at 1st, gets this one to drop just in front of the lunge from Smith in center, but he stays with the play and throws out the runner caught in no man's land. The Minutemen will be kept off the board again. In the bottom half of the frame, freshman Tyler Boucher comes up with the leadoff single to kickstart the Aztec offense. Next, it's Dossis who does his job, sacrificing the runner over to 2nd, now with just 1 down. Dom Esposito, who pitched so well all day, loses control of this one. Boucher advances to 3rd, and all of a sudden, AV has a runner at 3rd with just 1 out. After a walk, the day would be over for Esposito. The first batter after the switch was Corpy, who sends the fly ball to right. Brian makes the catch, throws a dart to the plate, but Boucher slides in under the tag, and the Aztecs win a thriller on senior day, 1-0.
The Aztec softball team over the last 5 years has consistently been one of the top teams in D2, and this year was no exception. Sophomore Isabella Lagatola hit over 500, and their ace Alexis Atwood went 10-4 with a 2.24 ERA in 97 innings pitched. Before the year began, I had a chance to sit down with their manager, Mike O'Brien.
When you end a season the way that you guys did last year in heartbreaking fashion, you as a coach, does it make you reassess the way that you approach the following season, or is that just something that happens anyway?
I think you always look back and question yourself as a coach. I think any good coaches were always going to say, how do we make this team better? How do the coaching staff, you know, we've had changeover. Thank God I have my father, who's still a coach, and then Coach Long, who's sitting behind me. And it's his 3rd year too. So they always say the 3rd year for everyone is kind of the year. So they're juniors now. So it's 3rd year. I can leave practice right now and feel confident that we're going to get everything that we want. So do I question it? No. And I'll tell you why. Because, you know, those 3 years we won the district title, we're doing similar things. We're playing small ball. We're playing defense, pitching and defense, hitting the cutoff, not making the mental errors. And we're doing that same type of thing.
After a season in which they finished 9-4 in league play and 16-7 overall, the girls from Assabet were able to make it all the way to the Central Mass D3 semis. Although they did lose to the eventual champion Hopedale, this team showed fight all year long. Here's a game from Assabet earlier this season.
Assabet took on the girls from Monty Tech on Wednesday afternoon. After the Bulldogs put up a run in the top half of the 1st, Sarah Hollenkamp comes up with the bases loaded and drives in 2 with a single to center, putting the Aztecs up 2-1. After a strikeout and a walk, Alexis Atwood slices one off the first baseman's foot that scores their third run. And after a walk and a hit by pitch with the bases loaded, AV would jump out to a 5-1 lead. Atwood pitched well over the first 4 innings, limiting the Bulldogs to 1 run, and for the game, she struck out 12, including this one where she blows it right by the batter. In the third, she would get some help from her defense. With a runner on first, number 2 drills one over the head of the left fielder Patron. Patron then gets it and slings it to Grenier, and Grenier makes a great relay throw to Katie Self and plenty of time to nail the runner at the plate. Coach O'Brien is so pumped he comes running out onto the field. In the bottom of the third, Grenier shoots a base hit to center, scoring the runners from second and third, including Lagatola as she evades the throw up the line. That would push the Aztec lead to 7-1. And moments later, Grenier puts pressure on the catcher. She steals third, and with the throwing error, she's able to score easily to make it 8-1. Monty Tech would inch closer in the 5th on this RBI base hit from number 19, but Atwood would respond as she strikes out 3 consecutive batters with the bases loaded to end the threat. In the 6th, however, the Bulldogs would hang a crooked number on Atwood. After a base hit and an error, number 22 rips a shot off the fence, driving in 1 to make it 8-4. Coach O'Brien, sensing a swing of momentum, tried to settle his club down here with a mound visit. But then number 19 strokes another hit to right center field that plates runners from second and third and pulls Monty Tech within 2 going into the bottom of the 6th. In the bottom half of the inning, the Aztecs would strike right back. Self, with a runner on second, slaps a base hit to center. The catcher then makes a questionable decision to try to throw out Self at second, and Coach O'Brien wastes no time in sending the runner home from third to score the first of 5 insurance runs in the 6th. They go on to win 13-6 and improve to 3-1 in Colonial League play.
AV's boys lacrosse team also had a fantastic year. Led by Jake Taylor's 71 points and Jonathan Crutchfield's 5.53 goals against average, they would finish the season 15-5 and were able to clinch a share of the Colonial League title with in-city rival AMSA. Here's a look back to when those two teams squared up in April.
AV and AMSA got together in what would turn out to be a good one from 4 kicks on Monday. The Eagles score early on as Nathan Lee works his way past his man and whips it by the AV goalie to make it 1-0. The rest of the half would be dominated by defense and goaltending, as shown by these saves. And watch the focus to make the stop, track the ball, and then make another big-time save. The Aztecs would tie it up late in the half on this pass from behind the net to number 21, as he bounces it home, making it 1-1 at the intermission. The second half would be a back-and-forth affair. First, with AV going on the offensive, and then AMSA netting back-to-back goals. First with the individual effort by Lee, and then 8th grader Thomas Hirsch gets the cross-field pass and stuffs it in. In the 4th, AV responds as number 41 collects the rebound and puts it in the back of the net. And while AMSA was looking to take the lead, the Aztecs goaltender made a couple of game-saving stops. Now check this goal out. This could be an early play of the year candidate. Number 11 takes the pass and shoots it behind the back for the goal. That's worth another look in slow motion. Wow, what a play. But the Eagles would respond late with this score from Broderick Sarter, and the fans would be treated to extra action as this one would go to overtime. In overtime, AV didn't waste much time, as number 12 spins and grips the game winner. The Aztecs squeak by AMSA 5-4. Aspet plays next Friday against Neshoba, and AMSA plays Sizer on Thursday.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a trip down 85 to Marlboro High to finish off this spring sports wrap-up edition of WMCT Sports Weekly. Stay tuned.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Daisy is 6 years old, and she is my very best friend. I couldn't live alone without her. I spend a lot of time in my backyard. I feed the birds and the bees. I love my flowers. The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. I love them. They're my savior. And I look forward to the volunteers because they've all become my friends. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Thanks for staying with us. We'll finish up by taking a look at the Panthers from Marlboro High. The Lady Panthers lacrosse team, led by Morgan Ron and Aaliyah Nisbet, finished with an 8-10 record and fell just short of making the playoffs. However, this team was able to produce some great highlights during the year.
The Lady Panthers took on Leominster Wednesday morning and got off to a great start. Number 17, Aaliyah Nisbet, coming off a 2-goal game against Shepherd Hill, gets her first of the contest here. A few minutes later, Erin Doherty beats 2 defenders to make it 2-0, and then Morgan Ron slithers through the D to put Marlboro up 3-0. Leominster's Riley Skinner would help the Blue Devils get back into it towards the end of the first half. First with this strong effort to fight through the D, and then she cuts to the middle and finds the back of the net to tie the game up at 3. But right before the end of the half, Nisbet handles the tough pass, keeps the ball high away from the Leominster defenders, and snipes it past the goalie to give Marlboro a 3-4 edge going into the break. Let's fast forward to the end of the second half, where Skinner rips it past Machado with 55 seconds to go for what most assumed would be the game winner. The Panthers call timeout to talk things over, and just 13 seconds later, Morgan Ron's second goal of the game would even the score at 6, and this one would go to overtime. After 2 scoreless overtime periods, Aaliyah Nisbet takes matters into her own hands as she works from left to right and then back left, flicks the backhand shot past the keeper, and gives Marlboro their 3rd win of the season.
Next, we have the boys lacrosse team led by Dom Carter and Ryan Meckler. They compiled a regular season record of 13-5 and were seeded 5th in the Central West D2 playoffs. Here's a look at their first-round matchup against Amherst.
Tuesday evening, the Panthers took on the Hurricanes from Amherst in this Division II first-round matchup. With Marlboro already up 2-1 halfway through the first, Dan Hayward gets this well-timed pass from Devin Ron and puts it in to put the home team up 2. Right before the first quarter horn, Hurricane freshman Tyler Burrell finds his teammate 15 yards out, who fires it past Buchan to draw within 1 at 3-2. Ryan Meckler would have a big impact in the second. First, he almost takes a kid's head off with this shot. He finds room top shelf, putting the Panthers up 2. Then he finds Sam Johnson in front, who scores to give Marlboro a 5-2 lead. Amherst would answer back a few minutes later, as Will Wright fakes one way, then shoots the overhand blast to make it a 2-goal game. Before the break, things get a little wacky. First, Meckler deflects the pass intended for the keeper. Then the keeper inexplicably picks it up and starts downfield. But Meckler again gets in there, knocks it free, and it's Evan Doherty who comes free, and falling to the ground, he bounces it into the open net. Amherst can't believe it, but nonetheless, the Panthers are up 6-3 at the half. Marlboro is a man down coming out of halftime, and the Hurricanes cashed in. This time it's Demetrius' son who sneaks it in past Buchan, and it seemed as though it was anyone's game. That's when the Panthers began to put the game away. They'd get 3 third-period goals from Doherty, who scores off the pass from Meckler. Then it's Jake Hathaway who gets the easy look off the nice feed from Ron. And then Doherty returns the favor as he finds Meckler for his 3rd of the game. Marlboro stole the momentum and felt good going into the 4th, up by 5. Any late threat was denied by Buchan as he played well throughout, which made it that much easier to keep the pressure up on the other end. Here, Doherty finds the streaking Ron, who bounces one low to put the Panthers up 6. And no assistance necessary here, as Ron shoots a missile past the Hurricane keeper to stretch the lead to 7. As the clock runs out, the Marlboro Panther lacrosse team celebrates their first playoff win in program history. They head to Minnecaug for quarterfinals at 5 p.m. on Thursday.
Although they would lose to Longmeadow, the eventual tournament champs in the semifinals, it was a great run nonetheless, and we look forward to what they'll be able to do next year. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the boys' tennis team, comprised of both students from AMSA and Marlboro High, that brought home the D1 Central Crown, beating Algonquin. Although they came up just short against Brookline in the state final last week, those young men deserve a lot of credit for a truly wonderful accomplishment. They've won the Midwalk B title in 2014, 16, and now 18, cementing themselves as one of the top teams in Central Mass. It's been an incredible year overall, and I can't wait for the fall to get here so we can see how our local teams fare in 2018 and 2019. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Weekly. We'll see you in September. For WMCT Sports, I'm Matt Bisaccio. Have a great summer.